So Javier is going to replace her, and we're very grateful for that. And he's going to talk about how collaboration is more than communication. And I think it's an important topic because we think a lot about JIRA, Confluence and HipChat as the collaboration tools, but really JIRA is, and all of our tools are incredible collaboration tools. Some things to know about Javier. He's an entrepreneur, project manager, trainer, certified Scrum Master, and professional and certified Microsoft professional who has spent a great deal of his career working on cutting edge projects, focusing on .NET and recently iOS. He also is from Costa Rica, and he really loves, is it off-roading? Was that right? Yes. Off-roading. Thanks.
Hi. Yeah, she read the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure the only thing you're thinking is Costa Rica and vacation, because that's what happens every time I tell them where I'm from. They only think about the vacation piece of it, and they tell me when they went there like 5 years ago. So, isn't it right? Costa Rica, who's been there? Oh, a few. Okay. Okay, it's good. So, yeah, as Elena said, I am Xavier Morera, and I'm a technical author from Pluralsight. But more than that, I'm currently working on building trainings focused on Agile and JIRA. Earlier this year, I published Scrum development with JIRA Agile, and in a few weeks, I will also be publishing Scrum Kanban development with JIRA Agile. Some people ask me, why am I doing this? Well, everybody knows that Agile is the best development methodology, and JIRA, by far, it's the best tool. But when you get started with both, it always takes a little bit of time to ramp up. I'm pretty sure that some of you are actually here for that specific reason. I have no idea how many times I've answered the question during this couple of days of how do I get started with Scrum and how do I apply it specifically to JIRA. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to help people get started as quickly as possible. And so in this talk, I will bring you some of my experiences as everything that Elena just pointed out. Yes, and thus I bring you collaboration is more than communication. Okay, it's not moving forward. There you go, and here's the agenda. So first of all, I'll start with why, which is what you usually do. Then I'll tell a little bit about, ask you about what is collaboration. Then we'll move on to learn a few things about JIRA as a collaboration tool, followed by the meat and potatoes of this presentation, the collaboration features of JIRA. And then just a few final words. So the first thing is, I'm going to ask you why collaboration. Just think about for a few seconds. If someone asks you, I'm pretty sure that the first thing that you would do is you would think about work, but think about life in general. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. And I'm pretty sure that some of you have thought about it in case you're, for example, if you're an entrepreneur and you start a company, you know that you don't start a company alone. You always start it with someone. A good example is what we saw yesterday and the day before, where Mike and Scott started Atlassian. You also have the Steves, Bill, and Paul, and you can go on and on and on. You always start things working with someone. You don't do it alone. Yet, sometimes it doesn't happen, but sometimes it's even worse. So this man and this woman, they are on the same team. They're supposed to be working together towards a common goal. Yet, they're pulling in opposite directions. In some cases, I can give you that's probably because of a hidden agenda. It's happened before, me personally. And in other cases, it may be just because of bad collaboration. So, I ask you the question, why collaboration? And I told you about bad collaboration, but I have not yet defined what collaboration really is. So let's go to the definition. To collaborate, it's to work jointly on an activity, especially to produce or create something. In some cases, some people might say that collaboration is the same as teamwork, but it's not the same. In teamwork, you contribute your time and knowledge. Basically, you get assigned to a task, you complete it, and it's done. However, with collaboration, it's a continuum. It's an ongoing learning and discovery process. It's not just task-oriented. And some of the most successful and innovative teams in the world, they collaborate like a Swiss clock. They're a well-oiled and effective machine. Okay. There's also a second definition. Sadly, some people skip the first one and go directly to the other, to cooperate tracerously with an enemy. And that comes direct from a dictionary, so I'm not making it up. Now let's talk about the definition of communication. To communicate is to share or exchange informations, news, or ideas. In some cases, in some teams, communication may fail because it's either one way, top-down, or confusing. But true collaboration gives you and your project an edge by aligning efforts towards a common goal. And every self-respecting PM, developer, and Scrum Master knows that Atlassian JIRA is the tracker teams use for building and planning great products. However, when people say collaboration, what comes to mind is always Confluence. And this is okay, because Confluence is great. However, when used adequately, JIRA is an amazing collaboration tool that can help a development effort succeed. And also for the uninitiated, JIRA may just seem like another project management tool, just like Microsoft Project, right? I know you have worked with a few people that they have to see a Gantt chart in Microsoft Project to think that the project plan is all laid out and ready to go, right? Am I right? Who works with project? Yes, I've been there too. However, what happens when you close the project plan? It goes lost among the executives or PMs, millions of documents, videos, and episodes of Breaking Bad. I mean, you can even say that the project plan is one of the best kept secrets in certain projects. That's something that I can say. And yes, I have used Project Server, but Project Server doesn't quite cut it. On the other hand, you got JIRA. JIRA is collaborative, it's alive, and it's full of insight into what's happening right now in your project. So let's see with some of the features. One of the features that we have right now is text formatting. I've used JIRA for about maybe 6 years, maybe a tad more or less, so I started version like 3 point something. At that time, and even until sort of recently, you could only create tickets with only text. That has changed. This may seem a little bit mundane, but it's not. Because in the past, if you wanted to create a nice spec, and for those of you who create specs, you know that creating a spec in only text is not that simple. So what did you usually do? You could create images and attach them, but there's just a bunch of images attached, which may not be that useful. In other cases, you create a document, so you add another step to see the document. And it's happened to me hundreds of times where I spent a lot of time creating a document, I attached it, and the developer only read the one-liner, and that's everything. He deduced everything that needed to be done. So that didn't work for me either. In other cases, you could use Confluence and Link. What happens? Some people don't use Confluence. Some people use SharePoint, which I used it a lot. And yes, I was a speaker at the Microsoft SharePoint conference, and I worked at Microsoft in Seattle, and I worked SharePoint for a long time. I absolutely hated it, but don't tell anybody. I just did it because I was good at it. I hate it every day of my life. Have not used it for 4 years, so recovering SharePointaholic. So text formatting. Right now, you can create your user stories, and you can do it with text formatting. They can be self-explanatory, complete. It's everything that you've ever wished for. Also, with the workflows, I assume everyone here knows what a workflow really is. A workflow is a set of statuses and transitions that an issue goes through during its through the multiple stages. It's basically work done. It's basically work in progress. It may be pretty simple, like in this case, or a tad more complicated. I thought I could have put just something a little bit more complex, but for the sample, I've seen some workflows that are beyond human. I was hearing yesterday there's one workflow with 14,000 steps. Some guy yesterday, they used it only with automation via API. But in this case, even some workflows after 5, 6, 7 steps, some people might get lost. So, but the thing about workflows is that this is where they come into practice. Workflows allow a synergetic efficiency gain by allowing your work, basically those are tickets, to go through the multiple different stages, those are the steps that people are working on, being assigned to multiple different people by either capacity, or the other one is on skill set, until your goals are achieved. It's basically how you take from an idea or a requirement to getting something completely done. And JIRA's customizable workflows allow you to define collaboration paths and monitor progress until success or failure is achieved. We all know that failure may not be an option, but it's always a possibility. And with JIRA and workflows, we want to help minimize that possibility. Also, you got the sprint planning. Everybody here who uses Agile, well, I would hope in a correct way, has a sprint planning meeting. You sit down, you basically are with your your team members, and you select the user stories that you'll be working on. At this point, you are collaborating as a team. Here's where you select the work that's going to be done. And given that people were participating in this sprint planning meeting, you're basically sharing the vision of what is it that you're going to be working. So the plan board helps you share your vision. Let's talk about work mode. So you've planned your work, you start your sprint, and then on a daily basis, you can run basically your daily scrums. And in here, everybody's sitting around reviewing the work that's being done. People can see impediments, people can help. This is basically collaboration by self-organization, which is one of the bases of the Agile Manifesto. And then the third one of the boards, report mode. It's basically used in sprint retrospective. Once you're done, you know what you have to do in the sprint retrospective. You review to see what went wrong, what went well, and how we can improve it. So all of you are basically collaborating to improve iteratively. It's collaboration at its best. Then sharing. This one, and arguably, falls a little bit more into what the part of communication, because you're providing some information to somebody else. However, sharing, you can use it after, for example, a meeting, and you can share a link to a filter with the work that's going to get done. So maybe it's not collaboration only, it falls in communication, but what you're doing is you're doing the start of review. You're setting the stage for future collaboration with someone else. Also, there's one thing, when you share something, don't fall into the mistake of thinking that this work is done. This is not shoot and forget. When you provide something, it just lets you share so that you can review together, but it sets the stage for you to move forward. Also, you got the activity streams. Activity streams are great. So for one, and this is a personal story, I have a stakeholder in one of my projects. He likes to know exactly what we're doing. He refuses to read timesheet though. For him, it was a little bit too complicated. But the thing is that he kept asking me every day, what are you doing? So for me, it was very simple. I just created a dashboard for him with the activity stream. The activity stream is like your own personal JIRA Twitter. It basically tells you of all the actions that are happening right now in your JIRA. So you can see, for example, what a developer is working on, what's happening right now in a project. The activity stream helps you understand the activity and pinpoint potential impediments. And the bosses love it because they think that they know what's going on every single day. So it's taking a load out of my back. Also, dimensions. Everybody knows what a mention is. It's a way to bring someone into a conversation. Sorry. Basically, what you do is, let's say that you're, for example, in a meeting. You identify an issue. Some of the people leave the meeting. One of them can create the issue and can just mention the other person so that they get notified only once. And this is important because some people love to make other people get notified of things that happen in JIRA. But if you start notifying them too much, what happens is that they develop a filter and they start ignoring JIRA. I know some people that do, and pretty sure most of you, or some of you might also do the same thing. But with mentions, it's a very effective way to bring someone into a conversation. By the way, I've proposed an issue in the JAC, that's the JIRA Atlassian.com. When you mention someone, you have no way of knowing if that person read your comment. I don't know if you've seen in WhatsApp or Facebook that seen by Xavier. I am proposing that when you mention someone, there's a way that I get acknowledged that that person read that, so they can't lie to me. Yes, but I need your vote for that. Because if you know, sometimes you can vote on issues, but we'll get that in a second. So there's two more things that I like to talk about collaboration, which for me are collaboration at its best. JIRA can be its own little democracy. So it's watching and voting. So with watching, what you do is you assign a person as a watcher so that that person can get notified when a change occurs on that specific ticket. It transitions to a different issue, someone to a different status, someone makes a comment. So in this case, you can add yourself, you can add someone else, or you can do bulk watch or on watch. This way, they will be notified of changes. However, don't abuse it. This is just like mentions. Problem is, this one notifies you of every change. So if you abuse it, that person will start ignoring it. And then we have voting. Voting, again, it's like a little democracy. If there's an issue that's important, or like in this case, that I really wanted, but in other cases, for example, let's say that you're preparing for a sprint planning meeting. You can create a filter with the issues that you will probably be seeing during the grooming process and in the presentation. You can share that filter and you can ask your developers to vote. Why? Because when you get to the sprint planning meeting, you can sort by votes and you can see what are the most important issues according to the team members that can be selected for the next sprint. So it helps you speed up the process. Also, if you read on JAC, that's the JIRAAtlassian.com, that's where I posted my issue, they say that votes do matter. They absolutely matter, and the number of votes matter. The product management team looks at our top 100 JAC issues every time that we're coming in an upcoming release, and since JIRA 4.3, they've satisfied over 6,000 votes. So that's quite a number of votes. And again, if you can please vote for my issue, I will really appreciate it. It's 39622. By the way, when you create an issue, you can't vote it yourself. You have to ask other people to vote it, so you cannot vote for yourself. So you can voice your opinion with voting and stay up to date with watching. So let's read a few takeaway tweets before we finish. Collaboration is more than communication. Atlassian JIRA is the tracker for planning and building great products. When used adequately, JIRA is an amazing collaboration tool that can help a development effort succeed. And collaboration, it's made of activity streams, workflows, mentions, voting, and sharing. So collaboration goes beyond communicating tasks that need to be done. It is an ongoing learning and discovery process where multiple teams, members cooperate towards a common goal. Remember, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And JIRA provides incredible features to help your team achieve their goals and dreams. And I really thank you for staying with me through this 18 minutes. That's my Twitter handle in case you have any questions later on. Also, you can ask questions on Confluence in case you already did. So I really appreciate for you come here. Thank you very much.